Monster RX 93.1 presents Heard on Thursdays. Hot conversations on hot topics. Your host, JC Tevez.
Hey Monsters, you're with me, JC Tevez, for more hot conversations here on HOT, Heard on Thursdays, the show that made Philippine FM radio talk. And it's now seen on Facebook as well. Check it out, facebook.com/RX931. We're live right now. So if I may say so, this show is fire, then and now. And speaking of fire, my guest tonight has plenty of it to share. The good kind of fire, the kind that burns within and ignites your passion, your energy, your whole being to do great things for yourself and for others. I'm sure you're familiar with the classic OPM song Fire Woman.
Monster RX 93.1 presents Heard on Thursdays. Hot conversations on hot topics. Your host, JC Tevez.
Hey Monsters, you're with me, JC Tevez, for more hot conversations here on HOT, Heard on Thursdays, the show that made Philippine FM radio talk. And it's now seen on Facebook as well. Check it out, facebook.com/RX931. We're live right now. So if I may say so, this show is fire, then and now. And speaking of fire, my guest tonight has plenty of it to share. The good kind of fire, the kind that burns within and ignites your passion, your energy, your whole being to do great things for yourself and for others. I'm sure you're familiar with the classic OPM song Fire Woman by Barbie Almalpis. Well, tonight's guest is a fire woman. Not only that, she's a fire walker, literally and figuratively. And she also coaches others to walk through fire. Once again, literally and figuratively, to achieve their personal goals. She's one of the most widely followed transformation coaches in all of Asia. She's a master practitioner in NLP, that's short for Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and hypnotherapy. She is an international keynote speaker and author, life coach, and the founder and master transformation rock star of the World Stage International Network. She's helped over 300,000 individuals and teams achieve their goals, fire them up with compelling action steps and results, building fascinating teams and brands, and turn around negative growth to positive outcomes. In short, she helps people to be the best versions of themselves. Heard on Thursdays, transformation rockstar Cherry Pua Africa. Hi Cherry, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, JC, and thank you so much for that generous introduction.
Of course, courtesy of our head writer, Rafi, who you've been on the show in the past, and I know you're very comfortable having guested here several times already. But that was, of course, in a fairly normal time, not during a pandemic and quarantine. So I want to know, what does a transformation rock star like you do during lockdown, outside of your work-related activities? It's what I ask all my guests here during this period. What have you been doing during quarantine? Are you watching a TV show? Are you reading up on books? What are you doing in your spare time?
Well, a lot of things that I would not have time to actually do if there weren't any pandemic or lockdown. So catching up on my reading and taking care of my kids, of my girls, and doing some plant work, I guess, being fashionable in that way.
Yes.
But I'm doing a lot of work. JC, and we're doing a lot of pivoting also. So it's pretty busy for me.
Awesome.
During this lockdown.
Great. Well, we'll talk about what you've been up to during this lockdown. But first, do you consider yourself a plantita? That's what the term is being dubbed now. Are you, all the people buying plants, plantitos of Manila? Do you consider yourself one of them now?
I definitely consider myself a tita. Okay. Plantita with, planning like a tita. I guess that's very appropriate. I do like plants. I have more appreciation of the greens right now because it symbolizes life to me at a time when life is so challenged. It gives me a lot of energy and makes me feel alive, but probably not as consistent, persistent, and passionate as the plantitas and plantitos.
Right.
Not in that degree. Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of passion, one of your greatest greatest passions is helping transform people's lives, being transformational for other people. So is there anything that you've been doing lately that maybe a new project or a new skill or a new hobby, anything that you've been transforming in your own life at home or during this pandemic?
In my own life, I guess there was more time to actually just do some reflection, pondering on the message of this lockdown, trying to just be quiet, being in my alpha state. We call it the alpha state. The beta state and is when we get very busy with things and we hardly have any time to just discombobulate, to just be quiet and meditate. So I'm doing a lot of that these days and just trying to, think about things, doing reflection on what we should do in order to move forward, and also planning with our clients also on the next steps are and how we could actually be better people as a result of this crisis.
Nice. So let's talk about your clientele. So you are a founder and master transformation rock star of the World Stage International. But who exactly do you cater to? Who needs your services? What are the companies or what are the groups of people who say, Cherry, we need you to change our lives, transform us, turn us into transformational rock stars?
I like the passionate way by which you ask for help. So that definitely fires up the coach from the other side of the fence. Okay, who do we cater to? Who do we help? It's mostly institutions, teams, corporate companies. We do a lot of work with teams and leaders where we do transformation coaching in terms of your leadership, in terms of how you mentor people, in terms of how you form teams, in terms of how you build your culture and you build your team. So this is basically what we do. We do some NLP also in terms of self-development and leadership. Later maybe we could discuss what NLP is all about. Every now and then I would have individual people work with individual people, but it was not as persistent and as pervasive as I used to do it before. Right now, we're really just so busy with our corporate work and with teams.
Right. During this lockdown, during this pandemic, what is the situation in terms of working with teams, working with corporate companies? Is it all done online? Are there small groups with social distancing involved, like where you can do it in person? How are you implementing your rock star transformation skills to these groups of people?
It was very, very challenging at the onset.
I'm sure.
Because nobody was ready for this. We were just so used to, working in an analog world where we see each other face to face. And all of a sudden, we're all just thrust into a digital format. And we have to learn. We have to learn as we pivot and as we innovate. So it's a great time to innovate. So we've had a lot of innovation in terms of technology, in terms of platform, in terms of how we deliver our programs, because we're really the alive, energetic kind of intervention. So nothing like the lecture type. There's a lot of kinesthetic. We call it somatic, where the entire body is part of the transformation, and a lot of games, a lot of provocative discussions with our clients. So we had to actually bring that to the online system. Now we've developed a system which we call OnLive. Change the letter N to V. It becomes all alive, and we try our very best to still continue to energy. People are tired, GC. People are tired, people are exhausted, and people are burnt out. And so they needed this recharging, this reignition. They needed new tools, new skills, so that they could move forward. This is how we have been helping teams and people in teams move forward, so that they accept, enjoy, and become a little bit more curious and lean in towards the new things that they could learn potentially as a result of all of these things happening around us.
Now, on live, I feel like I have you made a patent on that? Can I steal that and say, hey, we're on live now on Facebook?
You could borrow it.
I can borrow it. Okay, it's a great term, and I totally agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you in when you say that during this time, people are burnt out, and we need a way to kind of channel our energy into something positive, something great, and that's what you've been doing with your team. Do you feel like you can effectively communicate that on live presence the same as you would in person, or is it just really? Are you waiting for the pandemic to be over so that you can go back to doing it the analog way, or do you feel like you're able to still get the same effect as you were if it were to be in person as opposed to online?
First and foremost, it's hard to wait because it's not gonna happen. The world has changed permanently, JC.
Yeah,
Right?
true.
I mean, this is your comfort zone. You've been doing a lot of these things. No, we haven't been doing anything digital ever since this whole thing started, except for all the back end work that we did. And so I think there's no waiting. It's just going to frustrate our spirit if we wait because it's not gonna be the same again. I think at best we could go hybrid. No, when the time comes, we will probably have a portion which is kinesthetic, alive, face to face. But there definitely is a lot of digital and online interaction right now, especially since we've learned this platform. We've learned this platform. The whole world has started to accept it. Meetings have been done here. Sales have been nailed and closed online. So it's going to be easier because we will reduce the traffic, the burden of the traffic.
100% I agree.
Diba? There are so many blessings and
Yes.
that we should just be grateful for right now. In terms of have we converted, I would like to think we did. I mean, we've received a lot of positive feedback from our partners as to how we brought back the energy. There is a lot of intention in terms of the emotion and not just in terms of cerebral transfer of knowledge. It's one of the things that we would definitely make sure that we continue to stand for. That, learning will not happen if there is no fun, if it's not fun, if the body is not involved in the process, if it's all just the head brain, but the heart brain and the gut brain are not part of the entire learning system, then it will just fail. People will just feel intelligent for a short while and then forget about everything after the session. So we intentionally made sure that the things that worked in our analog face-to-face continue to be felt by the people that we serve during this pandemic time. More so because it's much needed right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the terms that you're throwing out. It really shows your expertise in your field, and we are going to talk about NLP or neuro linguistic programming. But let's take a trip back when you first started, because you weren't always an NLP rock star, transformation guru. Where did you get your start, and how did you become the transformational rock star that you are today?
It's a very, very long story, no?
Right.
But I think my whole practice, my professional practice started in the multinational. I was a marketing professional in one of the corporate companies in the Philippines, and that's also when I realized, after working, that my energy is built around people. So I needed to actually be around people. So that's when I took a turn and shifted my career and focused more on education. And that's when I took more courses in education. And in fact, part of my career, there was this part where I actually built a preschool for kids and then built a speech and drama center in Singapore. I went to Singapore for a few years. For 15 years, I lived outside the Philippines to try and learn more about this. And that's when I eventually bumped into NLP. Through the help of the masters and the mentors, I learned NLP, and then I decided this is where I want my career to flourish. I like to be a helper. I like to actually grow in the helping industry, and there has been no regret whatsoever. Now, if I look back with even through the mistakes and the failures, I will always welcome that as part of the learning process. So then that's when I know this is where I want to grow.
Fantastic. So let's talk about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. It sounds very complicated, but I'm sure a lot of people have a general, maybe a basic idea of what it is. But could you sum it up in layman's terms? How would you describe NLP to someone who maybe has never heard of it before?
NLP stands for neuro-linguistic programming. It stands for three things. Now, three things that will help you achieve and become the highest version of yourself. N stands for neuro, which means mindset. L stands for your language, the way you actually communicate, the way you manage your words, the way they are released and broadcasted, around you. That is your language. And P is programming, your habits. Now, the world will judge us according to our habits, our programs, no? Bad habit ka, or how do you speak? How do you carry yourself? Are you confident? However, the genesis of all our behavioral actions is actually our mindset and our emotions. And so we are controlled by these programs. And so it's so important that we manage this in order for us to, to execute this in the highest version through our resourceful behavior. So if we're able to manage the three things, our language, our mindset, which includes our emotions, and our behavior, there is a huge, huge chance that we are going to succeed and that we are actually going to achieve our highest versions.
You
So it's really
mentioned
just
that
a Bible for success.
you mentioned that when you stumbled upon NLP, you said this is what I want to do, and you had to learn from masters, correct? From masters of NLP, people who have studied it, which begs the question: is NLP very difficult to learn? If there are people who are masters in the art, how difficult would someone who's never studied it or maybe has no plans of studying NLP to become a master in it? Is it something that's difficult to pick up from let's say one of your courses or one of your your rockstar sessions?
As in anything, when you begin from a point of incompetence or inadequacy, or the knowledge is very low, we call it in NLP incompetence and unconsciousness. It's kind of very difficult to make the first step. No? Learning is a function both of competence and consciousness. It means for me to learn, I need to be conscious that I need to learn. I need to know I don't know enough, and I need to know what I do not know. So it's actually two things, no? Consciousness and competence. I guess, starting off and getting your foot into NLP and to human resources, practice is very hard in that sense. Now, the moment you learn it, and if you're passionate about it, it's nothing different from the other academic disciplines that you want to learn. Academically, as long as there is constant practice, you are able to actually memorize the terms, understand the terms cerebrally. So in that aspect, we know how to become an expert cerebrally on a topic or on a concept. What is actually going to be a long process of designing is really our practice. Is really how we convert all of these cerebral things somatically into our body and live it in our everyday practice, so that everything becomes automatic. And it is only when you are in the automatic stage, we call it unconscious competence. You are not conscious about things, you just do it, and you're so competent at it. That's when you become a master and an expert. In my case, it took me 10 years to just master everything, put everything in my unconscious, or we call it subconscious, so that when you need it, you're able to regenerate, you're able to redesign, and you're able to just reinstall as on a need basis. And it's only when you live it in your life that you become a great example. That's when people will actually look at you as a great teacher, I guess.
Yes, and well, you are one of the greatest that are around. So could you maybe, to our monsters who are listening right now, is there a basic NLP technique that you could teach?
You were asking about
a simple technique, perhaps, or something, because you are a master. But as a master, when you first reach out to your students, what is something that is very basic? What's one of the basic fundamentals of NLP that you try to teach to the people that you are teaching to?
I think one of the things is called anchoring.
Anchoring
is, when anchoring is when you are placed in a situation where you are feeling weak, whether you lack confidence, or you lack preparation or readiness, or you even feel inadequate. You're feeling worried. Let's say in a public speaking, platform, you're stuttering and everything. You anchor, meaning you access your power, and we have our inner power. So it is a tool, okay? And you access it by trying to remember previous events in your life that were powerful and when you succeeded. In short, there are evidences of you succeeding. You just need to borrow this memory. Take it from your memory bank, so that you're able to actually help yourself at a moment when you are feeling, that you are crashing or you're feeling weak. So anchoring as a technique is actually trying to, you try and associate a particular body part with an emotion. So in my case, my anchor is my knuckle.
Okay.
My anchor is my knuckle. And every time I press my knuckle, I am brought to that the most powerful event in my life where I felt very confident. So I will use that. During times when I'm feeling weak, I will just press my knuckle, and there will be a surge of powerful emotions, because I will remember that time when I was feeling so confident, when everything was just working right, on the audio, on the visual, on the kinesthetic, the feeling, the seeing, the hearing, the doing, everything was just right. I'm going to borrow that example, and I'm going to bring it to my present situation, and I will feel confident again, and that will happen in a split second. And it's been very, very helpful to me. No, it's nothing different from if you think of if you just think of a previous example or previous situation where you failed, and then you're gonna fail again. Here you're also anchoring on a bad memory. You could do that. You could anchor on a great memory, and that can help you. And that is actually the role of memories, to provide us with lessons, to provide us with power, so that we could channel into our own greatness, into our inner greatness, and help ourselves. So in a way, NLP is all about tools you could use to help yourself.
Yeah, and it could be for a variety of situations, correct? It's not necessarily maybe about work or maybe about being stressed. For example, for me, I don't mean to be facetious, but I'm trying to lose weight again. So if I was going to anchor something, a memory, I would think of a time when I felt like I was really in shape and I felt good in my clothes. Is that the same kind of thing? And I would anchor that to a body part on myself that I could bring back whenever I feel, let's say, I want to eat this gross donut that's really bad for me. Is that the same kind of concept? Am I correct in my understanding?
There is no in NLP, when you talk about weight loss, for example, we'll use another technique. It's called mind mapping.
Okay,
you're gonna map your mind. So, but essentially, it's the same. For example,
right.
If you wanted to reduce your carbs, for example, and like when I went on a diet, I tried and imagine, I cannot eat rice, and so I will increase. We call it submodality. I will increase the properties of the visual look of rice. I'm gonna turn it into some color. I would refuse to eat it anymore. Put some creatures inside my rice,
like
that
worms
that
or
will
something.
prevent me. Worms, yes, maggots. That will prevent me, and then I will increase the submodality of that, or the property of that visual, of that optic, and then it will actually prevent me from eating that. So I am going to mind map. I'm going to, our unconscious mind works a lot with images.
Yes.
So when, parang I'm grossed out, no? When we see a cockroach and we're grossed out, that cockroach ceases to be just 3 inches. It looks like it's 3 meters long. It's bigger than what it is, because it is, the fear is huge. That is submodality. That is increasing the property, the visual property of a cockroach. It works the same way for everything. Our mind thinks in terms of metaphors and in terms of visuals. And if we're able to actually manage that process, we're able to actually take control of our mind, we are able to take control of our behavior, and hence our results.
Yeah, I see myself as somebody who's a daydreamer. I'm very visual when I think of memories, but I know some people who cannot generate that many visual imagery in terms of maybe thoughts of the past. Is there some limitation to this, or can anybody do it? Can anybody learn how to just go back and make a memory or perceive a memory with full, vivid, colorful imagery, like you mentioned?
There must be an intention. No, it just isn't like magic, right? I mean, if it's if it's planted in your unconscious mind, if some bad memory has actually hurt you or given you negative emotion, unconsciously it will become big and it will become loud. The voices are gonna be loud. You don't need to program it. And then you nurture it by thinking about it, by replaying it in your mind. You feed it with fertilizer. I guess it flourishes. It becomes bigger than what it is. So in that sense, it becomes a negative anchor. So we could do that unconsciously. But however, if we wanted to program our thinking to make it more, helpful to us, and something that we don't have, we need to intentionally make it unconscious eventually by first making it conscious.
Right.
So if you wanted, for example, to learn how to imagine better, or how to think in terms of metaphors and everything, to think, we call it abductive thinking. No, meron tayong inductive thinking, meron tayong deductive thinking, but the ability to actually think abductively, or in terms of metaphors and creativity, that is a skill. No, we need to practice it. We need to practice it. We need to, in our conversations, be a little bit out of the box, a little bit oblique. Like when you talk, instead of being so flat, you could actually think, this reminds me of a time when blah, blah, blah. Then you think of metaphors and symbols. Then your mind is unconsciously programmed to think bigger, wider, and that makes you a little bit more creative. So it also requires practice. The same way you wanted to actually be more in tune of your subconscious mind, you need to do meditation. No, you need to do we do hypnosis. No, maybe do some hypnosis. If you wanna lose weight, for example, put yourself in in the alpha state, not just always on the beta state, because it is only when you are in an alpha state, we call it the transic state. Okay, it's a little bit scary trance, but in reality, it really is just a state of total calm and peace. That's just what trance means. If you're reading a book, you are in trance. Alam mo yung pagka nagte-text ka, tapos may somebody actually talks to you and that you cannot actually hear that person, it means you're in a trance. You're just so focused, you're caught in a vortex of energized, focused, that you cannot be, distracted. So that is trance. So hypnosis is a state where you are in trance, where you really just, focused and you are open to suggestions. And that's when, some of the hypnotic suggestions will come in, and that's helpful to you. It's very good for weight loss.
Yeah, so you know what? Whenever I play a lot of video games and when people are talking to me, but I'm playing, I do lose weight. Maybe it's the same concept.
Yes, that's you are in trance. You are in trance while you are playing those video games. Exactly, it works like that. Nothing can actually distract you.
Yeah. Well, to all our monsters listening right now, once again, we have Cherry Pua Africa here, transformation coach, transformation rock star, and also a master practitioner in NLP. But not only that, Cherry, you're also a hypnotherapist, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So let's talk about hypnotherapist. Is that the same thing as a hypnotist? Because I've seen the hypnotist. I've seen hypnotists on TV. The very stereotypical, look at this watch swinging left to right. Is it the same thing, or is that just the stereotype that we see in movies and TV shows?
Well, it's when you quack like a duck, for example, on stage, that's called stage hypnosis. I mean, it's entertainment. Okay, right. It's entertainment. But the principle is the same. You follow suggestions. You are just in a state of trance and you follow suggestions. Now, we call it hypnotherapy. It's hypnosis used for therapy. Hypnosis used not to, not to be funny, but hypnosis used to actually heal. And it is nothing like the budol. It is nothing like all of this scary thing. It really is. JC, how the mind works is this, right? When in your conscious state right now, say you mentioned you wanted to lose weight, right?
Yeah.
In your conscious state, you say you want to lose weight, and then I tell you, JC, come on, let's go out. It's been a long time. We haven't eaten out. Let's go let's go eat in a restaurant, assuming there's no social distancing and COVID yet. You're gonna say, okay, tomorrow na lang ako magda-diet, diba?
Okay.
So our conscious mind has a tendency to sabotage our goals.
100%. I get that. I feel you so much on that. I'll start on Monday.
And then you will
start at the
justify.
end of the month. I'll start at the first day of the month. I'll start on the next week.
Yes. Next, tomorrow na lang. O
Tomorrow na lang.
Sa January na lang. Total December ngayon. Kailangan Pasko, diba?
I'll eat less tomorrow. Correct. Yes, I feel that.
So the conscious mind will rationalize and justify, and then you will then think it's the right way to go. In a state of you are in a hypnotic trance, you are open to suggestions. So there is no part of your consciousness that's actually trying to sabotage it. So in your let's say the suggestion in a hypnotic trance is you're gonna chew your food more. You're gonna eat more vegetables. These are suggestions that's going to just help your habits and your behavior, your programming, so that you're able to actually, when in your wakeful moment, when you have already awoken from the trance, you're able to actually do that, and you don't feel guilty about it. You don't, you feel totally congruent about it. No, your unconscious and your consciousness are in congruence. Nothing will sabotage you, right?
Yes.
And that is really just what hypnotherapy is. The same goes for if you wanted to stop, for example, smoking, or you wanted to gain more confidence. You wanted to just be in a state of total relaxation, diba? In your consciousness, you're saying, paano ako maging relaxed? There are just so many things that I needed to do today. But, when you are attuned with your unconscious, you're going to say, no, I am centered, I am open, and I have attention to all of the parts around me, and I'm just going to be, centered and calm and grounded. So you're able to actually talk to yourself like that, and it helps your behavior in your programs.
See, so I know it's probably easier, or no, it's more difficult than explaining it, but how does one reach that, how do you, for example, for you, how do you help people reach that unconscious state where wala nang kontra, there's no conscious telling you do this, do that, or sabotaging you? How does one get to that state in the first place?
That is just us. Okay, JC, when we are praying, diba? When we are praying, no matter what happens outside, we focus on our prayer. Prayer is a state of trance. So the state that you are at prayer is the same state you are at when you are actually meditating or doing your own hypnosis. It's the same. You could hear a cell phone ring, you could hear a knock on the door, but it doesn't bother you. It doesn't, oh, hindi ka tatayo, ano nga nangyayari dyan? No? You are really just totally at peace with yourself. You are in charge of everything. You are not sleeping. You are awake. You can hear everything. You know everything. Nobody is actually going to make you do something that you do not like to do. Then there is the coach, no? There is the mentor who's helping you, who's guiding you, but really it's just giving you the suggestion so that you could be in full control of your, of your peace, of your quiet. So, if then you will then talk to your coach and say, I wanted to lose weight, for example, and then there will be some suggestions. But before the suggestions come in, you need to be induced to a deep state of relaxation. So hypnosis works when, first you will get a sense of your body parts, and then you will be asked to just be in total relaxation. So metaphors are very, very important in hypnosis. Imagine that you are in the clouds. Imagine that you're in a beach and that you are walking very slowly. So there's a bit of a metaphor. You're more creative. And if you are in a creating sense, you are not sabotaging it. Oh, diba? You could never argue with imagination.
Yes.
It's never wrong. Right?
Never.
You could argue with the past, but imagination, I cannot argue with your imagination. You cannot argue with mine. It's mine to control. And that's what hypnosis does. It brings you to a state of when you're thinking in terms of metaphor, you're open to it. And then you get in a deep, deep sense of relaxation. When you are in that deep sense, that's when the suggestions will come in. It's not rocket science, but it's something that you just do in practice. So right now, for example, if I'm feeling a little bit stress over something, I will just do a little bit of grounding, no? And even in my waking state, I'm able to actually just channel that part where I could be a little bit more relaxed. Because I know in a state of crash, in a state of when I'm a little bit everywhere and separated and all my body parts are everywhere, I cannot make great decisions.
I see.
So
it's great advice for anyone right now, right? Because especially during this time where a lot of us are dealing with stress, anxiety, and fear during these critical times, that's a fantastic technique to try to work on during this time.
Yes. People are getting three things, no? Three states that people are going through. First is frustration. They're getting just fed up and frustrated with the system. And then second one is exhaustion, a lot of burnout, maybe, the inability to actually go to a proper office. Work-life balance, when we have wanted and yearned for this before, now we are in, work and life are both happening the same place. We don't like it. We need to separate and organize it, right? And the third is boredom. So these are three states that we're fighting against, and we could just in an instant access that state of power and control again. The story that we have to tell ourselves, the mindset, is that we are in charge. We have not totally, completely lost control. We are recovering back the content. And the content that was lost is, I am not in control of this. And so I give up. I'm exasperated about the system. When we are at state, we will be either complacent, bukas na lang, lazy, diba? Or we are just gonna be mediocres. And no time in the history of our life is this going to be happening again. And so this is the best time to actually break through and become our best version. At a time when it's so challenging, this is the time where we are actually going to try and recover. And if we reach, if a company, for example, reaches, great results, you are going to really just be proud of yourself. So we're here to actually make history. So that's another blessing of the pandemic.
Yeah. Che, I really love the way you talk because it's so uplifting. It's so positive. So I wanted to get your insights on, this term has been thrown around, especially now on social media, the term toxic positivity. Do you believe there's such thing as toxic positivity? I mean, it's possible they feel this way maybe because they're not feeling very positive, and it annoys them to see people who are, or maybe it's like the pressure on people to succeed when they should attend to self-care. What are your thoughts on toxic positivity? Is it something? Can we ever be too positive?
Well, Yes, I do believe there is such a thing as toxic. I mean, whatever it is, if you hear positivity, if you hear words of wisdom and quotes and you are not ready to receive it anymore, it's not helpful to you, it's putting you in a state of unresourcefulness that is toxic to your spirit. So yes, there is. No, to me, and when you say positive, it's not all about, feeling, great, yay, celebrate, there are blessings, be grateful we're alive, you're not dead, sometimes people don't like to hear that. Sometimes people just want to be listened to. Sometimes they just want to wallow. And we need to allow and provide them that space to wallow, because if you are not allowed to wallow, the message of the universe is you are only liking me when I am positive or when I am, feeling great. At a time when I'm feeling low, I will have no friends. Everybody will go against me. What does that say about our confidence, right? And so I think, yes, to some extent, it becomes a little bit toxic. To me, what positive means is this. Positive means is that whatever it is that I'm feeling, whether it's anger, whether it's happiness, whether it's sadness, it is capable of bringing me to the next step that is forward. That is what positive means. So if I'm angry about the situation, the question is, what am I going to do about it? Yes, I'm allowed to be angry, but I cannot just get a chair and throw it to you or hurt people or throw hurtful words to other people, right? I have to manage my anger. I'm so angry at this that I wanted to do something about that, and that is positive.
I see. So you're looking for the next step forward, how to take that next step.
Yes, forward.
Okay.
Forward, diba? Kasi when
forward,
it is actually sabotaging, no? Pag kunwari I'm angry and I vent it out on others and I hurt others, no? What happens is that particular behavior becomes degenerative, no?
Yes.
It is remedial. What we want to do is to be generative. In short, whatever is happening around us, we are just generating something positive and helpful to our goal.
Goals.
Diba?
Yes.
So it is generating something, whether it's better connections, whether it's a lesson, whether it's strength of character. As long as it is generative, it is positive.
All right. Well, I want to talk about goals now, since we're on the subject. For someone like you, Cherry, who's an expert at setting goals and achieving them, do you still have more goals? In general, I mean, have you accomplished everything? I'm sure you haven't, but how does someone who, like you, can set goals and achieve them with your techniques? Do you still have more goals in mind? How do you set personal goals, Cherry?
We are programmed to seek more. Diba? You're gonna say, I'm going to stop if I reach 1 million.
Yes.
If I'm a millionaire, I'm going to stop and I will start to give. Diba?
Yeah.
We have a tendency to thing, diba? And then you reach your 1 million, and then all of a sudden you say there's a thirst to reach the 2nd million. Because it's our programming. We are all programmed to want to seek more. And I guess if you ask me, what is the final, when does this all end? To me, and this is a personal take, it all ends when we leave this world.
I mean, leave this world.
Our work, no, even when we retire, there's still something to do, pero the goal has changed. Maybe it's charity, maybe it's giving, no? Maybe it's living life to, enjoying life. There must be a goal. Otherwise, if there's no goal, where do we move forward? Do we move forward? Do we move backward? Do we move sideways? And not knowing kills our spirit, because we were made to, to go somewhere. So there are goals, no? I know my immediate goal, but maybe I'm still in search for my goal on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th step, no? And I will discover that once I've reached my next goal. Then when we see goals as part of milestones or goalposts, no, it means it's a small step to the next big goal. Then we don't get frustrated in terms of parang an arm's length naman tong goal na to. It's impossible. When you feel that when you believe a goal is impossible to reach, you're not gonna reach that goal.
Okay.
So belief there must be possibility, there must be capability, there must be there must be strong emotions towards that goal. So yes, I definitely do have goals for my own work and goals for my own life. I know what the short-term goals are in the next 2, 3 until 5 years, and then I'm out here to discover what else is after that and beyond that.
So when clients ask you for help when goal setting, has anyone ever put forward a goal that is there? Actually, let me rephrase the question. Is there any goal that is too big, or do you ever dissuade people from trying to achieve a goal because you feel like it's not really possible for, let's say, that person? Let's say if I said, Cherry, I want to go to the, I'm almost 30 years old. My knee is really messed up, but I want to be an Olympic swimmer. Can I still do that? Or would you say, how would you maybe maybe you can set different goals?
Our job is not to make a judgment as to a goal is big or small. Our job is actually to help a person find out if that goal is actually possible or not possible. No, we don't make the judgment for the client. They make the judgment. We ask the questions to provide them with the tools. So around that goal, what is actually invisible in that goal is a belief. A belief of the possibility, a belief of my capacity, a belief of, is it realistic or not? So we ask the questions to make the person believe, sige, I like it, there's enough passion, but possibility, it's possible, but I don't have the capability. I don't believe I am capable enough to reach that goal. Then if you know that the missing information or missing link there is capacity or capability, then go and work and find out the solutions to that. So then train yourself, read a book, learn more, talk to mentors, no? But
Yes.
if the belief is possibility, then and what additional information do you need to have in order for you to actually turn the impossibility to possibility? So these are our roles, no? We cannot provide our role. A coach or a mentor is not a rescuer. Some people are making a mistake. They think that, they are there to actually answer that. The role of a coach or a mentor is to just provide more wisdom. To guide the person so that the person can actually increase his consciousness and make better judgments and make better decisions.
That's a great way to put it, because when people think about let's say life coaches or transformational coaches, for some people there is a negative connotation sometimes where they see these people as, sometimes they like, they're just preaching the same thing at every event and didn't really help me. But I feel like if they really delve into it, like you've explained, I feel like they would see the actual benefit and the help that you and others like you have done. It's kind of like analyzing the parts for each person's goals and kind of saying, hey, maybe this, you could work on this, or look at this. And I feel like that's really awesome how you do that. I just wanted to say that's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Cherry, let's talk about setting goals and pursuing them for next year, 2021. Beyond all the challenges we faced this year, what advice could you share on achieving goals through all the crises that have come and that may come even years down the line? What are your words of advice and wisdom for transformation?
I think when you talk about the word transformation, there is a small word hiding in the word transformation, and it's called form, right? Before you even start your transformation, the first thing that we probably need to adjust is our form, our physiology, the words that we use, our form of speaking, etc., etc. So at the genesis of change is our body, our biology. So, if we're feeling depressed or if we're feeling sad, maybe we don't know how to get over it. Maybe the answer there is to just do some exercise. For after all, emotions are really just energy in motion. Put a little bit more motion to it, then we're able to transform it. So I guess that's the first thing, no? The second thing is goal. A lot of people make goal at the start of the year but not achieve it at the end of the year because there is goal setting is different from goal seeking. Goal setting is I write my goal, I publicly declare my goal, but you don't seek, you do not have enough willingness, strength, passion to seek it. Seeking is an everyday process. Goal seeking is an everyday process. And so we need to make sure that, we are actually helping our unconsciousness, our programs, now changing our programs to a point na, say, for example, we wanted to actually, be more grateful. Then let's give our thanks every day. Even if it's awkward, we're just doing it. That's goal seeking. And hence, there needs to be a lot of discipline, a lot of muscles in goal. It's not just nice to say, it must be done. We call that somatic. So I think it's a nice, when all of these changes are happening, it just means that everybody is trying to transform. It's such a nice, great time to actually experiment, right? Jeff Bezos said, if we do not experiment, our enterprise, that's going to die, our business going to die. It goes the same for our own personal, bodies, for our own personal lives. It's a time for us to actually take some risks. It's a time for us to actually just, experiment and see how much more we could stretch an idea, how much more we could innovate, pivot, whatever, migrate or whatever. And even if we don't have the skills, we learn. And now this is a great time to also learn. So there are so many things that we can do because of this lockdown. And we hope that the time will not come when this is all over, that we will look back and say we just basically wasted the 1 year or the 12 months that was given to us in order for us to actually become better people. We want to make sure we're using that, because this thing is going to pass and we're going to go back to some new normal again. And we want to make sure that we're using the resources that's provided to us during this time.
Hearing you talk, Cherry, there's no question as to why you're so effective, because you really have a lot of conviction behind your teachings and your words, a lot of fire, and I know behind it, and I know you use fire a lot when it comes to imagery in your life coaching. Is there something like that what is it about fire that really makes it work for you?
Fire is a metaphor.
Yes.
It's just, so, we're gonna say, for example, diba, apoy, even alab ng puso, our national anthem, diba, parang nagliliyab. It means something is growing, no? And fire to me symbolizes energy. It could be good energy, it could be bad energy. Wildfire is bad energy, right? Yeah. And we don't like to be everywhere. We don't like to be scattered. No, we want it to be energized fire, focused fire. So fire is a symbol. And the first time I actually encountered fire was when I did my first fire walk in Singapore. And that's when I realized, this is something transformative. Kasi JC, imagine mo, it's really standing in front of a fire. While it is metaphorical, it also is real. Like there's a physical fire. It's burning 1,200 degrees Celsius, and all I can feel is the primal energy of fear.
Wow.
Right? I couldn't even think of anything except fear. So if you're able to transcend that fear and go forward and still, just move forward, and you're able to finish the task, what does that say about you? Yes. How do you apply that, in your old learning when there are so many fears, so many fears around us? The fear to commit, the fear to fail, diba? The fear to stand out, the fear to make mistakes. These are all fears. But when we forge forward despite of this fear and become courageous, we are going to see something beyond that fire.
Wow.
And that is that better person who walked on fire. And so we use that as a metaphor. And to me, the greatest power we have is the human spirit on fire. We have to bring our fire to work. Then we will be more agile. We will be more fired up. We could do more things. We could lead better. People are going to be excited when they are around you. They will feel your energy. It will just lead to something positive.
Great. And let's say our monsters listening right now, they're like, man, we got to get Cherry to our workplace. We got to tell our boss about Cherry. How can they reach out to you? And let's talk about World Stage International and how you guys work together. What exactly is World Stage International for those who haven't heard of it? And how can they contact either you or World Stage International?
World Stage International is a transformation company. So we do a lot of transformation for teams, for individuals, for people, whether it's emotions, mindset, or behavior. We're focused on, general transformation like leadership, and also functional transformation like sales skills, negotiation skills, selling skills. So we do these things, and they could reach us. They could actually go to our website, worldstageinternational.com.ph, or Facebook World Stage International. We are everywhere. They can find us, or they could find me, Cherry Puo Africa. So there's many ways to contact us. And if I could actually just request or ask for that few minutes where I could promote a conference that we're doing.
Please
JC,
do so. Of course.
We are doing for the first time ever the Awesome People Conference. It's a vision that we've been talking about. Let's come up with this conference where we could just talk about awesome, talk about how we could build teams to be together, how we could actually build cultures in teams, how we could build great leaders. And then this pandemic came. And then we said, what better time to do this? When people are feeling tired, when you are saying intoxicated with a lot of positivity that they don't know how to manage it anymore. It's just getting a little bit way too much. How do you bring people back to the center and ground them on their values, on what is most important to them so that they could actually see their vision clearer? So this is actually a conference for people who wanted to find better messages, who wanted to fire up their spirits, who are getting tired or bored. So this is for teams, for leaders, for individuals. Come to the conference. It starts next week, November 25. We have the Awesome Team, and then there's another day on December 5. It's Awesome Life, where we talk a lot about NLP. We've invited the teachers of NLP around the world. And then next year on January 16, we're going to talk about Awesome Communicator, where we just learn how to communicate with each other and guard our message and become master messengers of our compelling message. And then finally on the 20th of January, we talk about leadership, how to become an awesome leader. So it's 4 days of just learning how to make something positive out of something that a lot of people perceive to be negative.
And all of these dates and updates, they're all available on World Stage International's page.
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay.
On our Facebook page, we have complete information. You could just visit our Facebook page too.
All right. And for those of you listening on air, this video is, or we have a video running at the same time as this interview, facebook.com/RX931. It's going to be on there, so you can always fast forward and pause at the parts that Cherry was talking about in case you want to catch any of those awesome programs. But Cherry, anyone you want to say hello to? Any greets, any shout outs before we let you get on with helping transform more people for the rest of the months coming this year?
First and foremost, special thank you, shout out to Rafi. Thank you so much. It was an accidental, nice, energy to actually meet you again. After many years, I haven't seen Rafi for a long time. Thank you to JC for this chance to actually just have this platform to share. We do appreciate that, something precious to us. I'd like to make a special shout out to my team. I've never done it before where I say hello to them because it's like, you have to work with us and we see each other every day. So this actually is a nice time to actually just greet them on air. So special shout out to Team Awesome, who's been working tediously, and over time to actually just put a conference together for people. Special shout out also to my family, and most especially a special shout out to my dog who's celebrating his birthday today.
Happy birthday!
So, happy birthday to my little prince, and to also my great Yaya, who's going to celebrate her birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Ellen, and then happy birthday to my daughter and my husband. So everybody is November in my family. So happy birthday to everybody, to my entire family.
Advance happy birthday, Cherry, and of course, advanced happy holidays as well. Thank you very much for joining us. And
yes, thank you. Advance Merry Christmas.
Yes, we hope to have you again on the show because it was really eye-opening and inspiring. So thank you very much, Cherry, for joining us this evening. And to all the monsters out there, don't forget, check out World Stage International and also check out Cherry Pua Africa on her website as well. And enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll catch you again next week for more hot conversations here on Heard on Thursdays. Have a great night, and thank you for tuning in to the season's hottest Monster RX 93.1.